Introduction. Do you know that 43% of India's land surface is covered by plains, 28% of it is plateaus, and less than 30% comprises mountains and hills? Yes, you are right, and only 62% of our total land area is topographically usable. Lithosphere is the main life-supporting system, and top layer of Earth is called soil. Soil is the main natural resource which is essential for survival and development. Soil covers more than 4/5 part of land.
Objectives. At the end of this lesson, you'll be able to find out mineral riches in the soil, understand the types of soil, find out what is soil pollution, understand the biogeochemical cycles, study the water cycle, understand the nitrogen cycle, study carbon cycle, understand the greenhouse effect, study the oxygen cycle, understand the importance of ozone layer. Mineral riches in the soil. Soil is an important resource that decides the diversity of life in an area. The outermost layer of our earth is called the crust, and the minerals found in this layer supply a variety of nutrients to life forms. But these minerals will not be available to the organisms if the minerals are bound up in huge rocks. Over long periods of time, thousands and millions of years, the rocks at or near the surface of the earth are broken down by various physical, chemical, and some biological processes. The end product of this breaking down is the fine particles of soil. The factors or processes that make soil are: the sun heats up rocks during the day so that they expand. At night, these rocks cool down and contract. Since all parts of the rock do not expand and contract at the same rate, this results in the formation of cracks, and ultimately the huge rocks break up into smaller pieces. Water helps in formation of soil in two ways. Water could get into the cracks in the rocks formed due to uneven heating by the sun. If this water later freezes, it would cause the cracks to widen. Flowing water wears away even hard rock over long periods of time. Fast-flowing water often carries big and small particles of rock downstream. These rocks rub against other rocks, and the resultant abrasion causes the rocks to wear down into smaller and smaller particles. The water then takes these particles along with it and deposits it further down its path. Soil is thus found in places far away from its parent rock. Wind. In a process similar to the way in which water rubs against rocks and wears them down, strong winds also erode rocks down. The wind also carries sand from one place to the other like water does. Types of soil and soil pollution. Soil is a mixture. It contains small particles of rock, bits of decayed living organisms, which is called humus. Soil also contains various forms of microscopic life. The type of soil is decided by the average size of particles found in it, and the quality of the soil is decided by the amount of humus and the microscopic organisms found in it. Humus is a major factor in deciding the soil structure because it causes the soil to become more porous and allows water and air to penetrate deep underground. The mineral nutrients that are found in a particular soil depends on the rocks it was formed from. The nutrient content of a soil, the amount of humus present in it, and the depth of the soil are some of the factors that decide which plants will thrive on that soil. Thus, the topmost layer of the soil that contains humus and living organisms in addition to the soil particles is called the topsoil. The quality of topsoil is an important factor that decides biodiversity in that area. Use of large amounts of fertilizers and pesticides over long periods of time can destroy the soil structure by killing the soil microorganisms that recycle nutrients in the soil. It also kills the earthworms, which are instrumental in making the rich humus. Fertile soil can quickly be turned barren if sustainable practices are not followed. Removal of useful components from the soil and addition of other substances which adversely affect the fertility of the soil and kill the diversity of organisms that live in it is called soil pollution. The fine particles of soil may be carried away by flowing water or wind. If all the soil gets washed away and the rocks underneath are exposed, we have lost a valuable resource because very little will grow on the rock. This process is known as soil erosion. The roots of plants have an important role in preventing soil erosion. Vegetative cover on the ground has a role to play in the percolation of water into the deeper layers too. Biogeochemical cycles. Biogeochemical cycles are the cyclic pathways through which chemical elements move from environment to organisms and back to the environment. Biogeochemical cycles are essential because the earth and its environment with reference to these elements are called closed system, and there is no inflow of such elements from outside the earth, and their amounts are limited. There are mainly two types of biogeochemical cycles: gaseous cycles, sedimentary cycles. The water cycle. We know the water evaporates from the water bodies, and subsequent condensation of this water vapor leads to rain. But even after this continuous condensation process, we don't see the seas and oceans dry up. So, now question comes in our mind, how is the water returning to these water bodies? The answer to above question is that the whole process in which water evaporates and falls on the land as rain and later flows back into the sea via rivers is known as the water cycle. All of the water that falls on the land does not immediately flow back into the sea. Some of it seeps into the soil and becomes part of the underground reservoir of fresh water. Some of this underground water finds its way to the surface through springs, or we bring it to the surface for our use through wells or tube wells. Water is also used by terrestrial animals and plants for various life processes. As you know, water is capable of dissolving a large number of substances.